everyone, I'm Katie Robertson, and I just want to officially welcome you to the Anchor at Home. We are so glad you're with us tonight. If you're in a watch party with your friends and family, or you're watching on your own, we are so thankful you're tuning in. I'd like to share just a brief history of how this all started. And it wasn't too long after the biggest storm hit my life when my oldest daughter, Karina, passed away from a 5-year battle with leukemia. And it was during that time, during that journey and aftermath, that our faith in Jesus held so strong for myself and for my daughter and for our family. And I developed this passion, really great desire to want to share with everyone how real Jesus is. And so I gathered some friends together here in my living room in Gig Harbor, and we came up with this idea of starting a gathering for women of all ages. And we came up with the name, The Anchor, and we founded it on 2 verses. And the first one, I like to share it every time. It's Hebrews 6:19. We have this hope, Jesus, as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. And that's the word secure, means for certain. And that is what this world so needs today. We need something that holds strong for certain. And so that is my favorite verse, but I have a second verse that I don't share very often. And it comes from Hebrews also, chapter 10, verse 24 and 25. And it says this: "Let us not give up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but let us encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching." And that verse just sums up, I think, what the Anchor really is all about. We have not stopped meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, especially during a pandemic. It was exactly a year ago, this very month of May, that we launched the very first Anchor video. And we are so excited and honestly amazed at what has happened, more than we could ask or imagine. Of some of the statistics, we have over 4,000 views already from this whole last season of The Anchor, and an average of over 500 views per Anchor at Home, which we think is so cool. And we have been viewed in all 50 states. So exciting things are happening, and we just are dreaming big. We want to keep taking this word, this great news of Jesus as our anchor, to women everywhere. And we are asking for you all to come on board and help us out. If you are interested in leading an anchor in your community, or if you just hosting a watch party in your house, we'd love for you to go online to our website, theanchorgathering.com, and you can find out more information, sign your name in there, and we will connect with you. And we just want all of us together, we can make a big difference in sharing the hope that we have in Jesus. So with that, tonight, our hope and prayer for all of you is that you be encouraged and that you be anchored in your faith. Wherever you are on that journey, you might be so new to this and never even heard about Jesus before. But we hope that after tonight, you will be anchored just that little more, even those of you who have been walking with the Lord for a long time, and that you'd also be anchored in your friendships. So thanks again for joining us. And now we like to start the Anchor every time with our music. And tonight we are so thankful that we get to hear from an up-and-coming star from Seattle, Washington. Her name is Jess Pillay, and she is a singer-songwriter. And what is so cool is that tonight she has written a brand new song just for the Anchor and for the message. She happens to be friends with our speaker, and she's crafted a song that is special just for us. And she actually works in Kirkland, Washington at Northwest University as a graduate counselor. And we are just so excited that she is here to share her gift of music. So thank you, Jessica.
Hi, my name is Jess Pillay, and I'm a singer-songwriter from Seattle, Washington, and I'm so excited to be here with you today at The Anchor. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to play a song for you called Breaking the Glass, which is a new song that I wrote probably about a month ago, and it's all about the limiting stories that we often tell ourselves when we're too scared or too afraid to lean into what God has for us. I wrote this song because I found myself telling myself those limiting stories quite often and just not leaning into the purpose and the plan that I felt the Lord had for me. And so as I was wrestling with those things, this is the song that came out. The Bible tells us that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and so there's no reason for us to not live up to the potential that God has for us. So wherever you are today, I pray as you listen to this song that you'll feel encouraged and empowered to live your best life. Thanks so much for listening. There's a mirror on the wall telling me to fall, saying I'm not at all strong enough. Reflections in the dark, distorted little sparks, lies that burn inside the heart and keep me from going. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the bravest of them all? Begging you to tell me, please, your silent stares are crippling. There's a song inside my mind, a tempo that lags behind, but I don't know where to find the right melody. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the bravest of them all? I'm begging you to tell me, please, your silent stares are crippling. Dume Thordungi, 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 Thordungi abi. Hame Thordungi, 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 Thordungi abi. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the bravest of them all? I've listened to you for too long, now I know that you are wrong. So I'm breaking the glass, I'm letting it shatter, and I'm gonna dance, 'cause your gaze no longer matters. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.
Thank you, Jessica. That was great. Those lyrics were beautiful, and we can't wait to hear how those tie in with our message. We are really excited about that. So thanks again. Now at this time, we have the anchor moment, which I think I usually say it's one of my favorite times. It is it's a testimony, and it's when someone shares a little bit about their life and about their faith journey and about a time that they've had an anchor moment, or a time their faith has been grounded, anchored, or they've really seen Jesus to be real. And tonight, we are so thankful we have not just one, we are going to hear from two. We are going to hear from a mother-daughter duo, and we thought kind of special for Mother's Day, just around the corner. Erin Marshall and her mom, Marybeth Launius, are here to share with us a very inspirational story, and their message will encourage us all. Just a little bit about each of them. Erin, I've known her for such a long time. She was actually my daughter's young life leader when she was a high school student. So that is quite a ways back there. And we are so excited. She has just been a special friend of our families, walked through our journey with our daughter. And she is now married, has 3 darling children. She lives in Kirkland, Washington, and is an interior designer. And then her mom, Marybeth Launius, she has been a very dear friend. She was actually on our first anchor team here in Gig Harbor. And she actually now is a recently retired teacher. And she has 5 grandchildren whom she likes to see and play and have fun with. And we are so thrilled that the 2 of them are here tonight to share their inspiring story.
Well, hi, my name is Marybeth, and I am originally from the suburbs of Chicago. My husband and I have been married for 38 years, and we decided to move to Washington with our 2 toddlers, Erin and Brian, in 1989. I went back to college when they went to kindergarten, and I began my teaching career in the Catholic schools, actually, in 1996. And then several years later, I started working for Tacoma Public Schools, and I've stayed there for almost 20 years. I would still be teaching today, right this very moment, but God had a different plan for me.
We'll get to that a little bit later. So I'm Erin, and I grew up here in Gig Harbor with my mom, my dad, and my brother. I then went to the University of Washington, and I dated a boy from Gig Harbor, and then I married him, so he's really been around a long time, that guy. I worked my way through college at Nordstrom, and then I stayed there, never really left. And after about 12 years there, I decided to focus on my family, and I had the opportunity to stay home with my 2 little boys. So that was about 3 years ago. They're a little bigger now. We've added a little girl to our family, and I work doing interior design for new construction in Kirkland. So my husband Andy and I live there with our sons Gavin, who's 7, Connor, who is 5, and Maeve, our daughter, who is a joyful yet a little bit terrible too.
And my favorite. Okay, so as far as our faith journey, we were going to share. I was raised Catholic, so I always knew the Lord. Having lost my own mom with cancer when I was just 10 years old really shook my faith, and as a result, my relationship with him kind of stalled. And it was more of like a weekly thing, and I had him kind of on an on-call basis when I needed something. But then my relationship with the Lord really turned a corner when I started to attend HCC, Harbor Christian Center, and I really started paying attention to his word. Today, he is the first one that I speak to in the morning and the last one at night. He's my everything throughout the day, and I really feel like he's my best friend.
And likewise, I was also raised Catholic, so I too felt the presence of God and religion, but not the personal part. And for me, my faith became real first in youth group in middle school, and then really through young life in high school. I discovered that God was with me and for me, and a relationship with God was definitely life-changing. Then as a young life leader, teaching girls who were younger than I, was God's wisdom and love became more prevalent as I shared it with others, and I kind of understood there was something bigger than me out there. As a lifelong worrier, someone who worries a lot, I learned how to pray, and then I really clung to that direct line to God, and that connection and the power of prayer has served me ever since then in all the big moments, small moments, and challenges of my life, which we'll get to now.
She's fabulous. Anyway, Okay, so in January of 2020, pre-pandemic, I was diagnosed with advanced stage ovarian cancer. I remember sitting in the oncologist's office with my husband, and we both had just a steady stream of tears as we listened to the doctor explain this treatment plan. And I was shocked, terrified, and I just couldn't wait to get home, to be alone with God, to just sort this all out. I was like, okay, we need to talk. So I fell to my knees in my living room and immediately just started crying out to him. And I have spent many hours in that same spot, morning, noon, and night. But I promise it was not long before he showed me signs of healing and of hope. He knows me well and knew that I needed some signs quickly. He took care of so many details that I had no idea existed, and I'm glad I didn't know that they existed. He was in the background just fixing it all up, and my 6 months of treatment and surgery went perfectly. I felt like he was holding my hand, and then I kind of felt like he was showing off, picking me up, and just carrying me through this trauma. So the one verse that I really clung to in the dark and scary nights is Isaiah 41:10. Do not be afraid, I am with you. Do not be dismayed, I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. And I just kept thinking, okay, please help me. And I will uphold you with my righteous right hand.
So likewise, I would say my faith was certainly anchored last year through my mom's journey with cancer, and it was the rockiest waves I've ever experienced. I think all of us, with really low lows, but also really high highs. So I've reflected a lot about last year, and at first I think, wow, I don't know how I survived that. My mom had cancer, the whole world was affected by COVID, and while trying to navigate both of these major issues, I suddenly was a homeschool kindergarten teacher. I tried to keep my preschooler from burning down the house, and I tried to manage a baby turning into a toddler. So this was like a piece of cake. But then when I think back to the days I melted into my closet floor, or maybe opened the wine like a little early, I remember, but God. God is how I made it through those days and those months of supporting my mom through cancer and my family through the effects of COVID. And God is who I turn to day and night, similar to what she said. Just crying, not even out prayers, but crying through prayers. And sometimes they were really simple, like, help me, help me, help me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just, here, there, as fast as I could get them out. And sometimes my prayers were like essays. And I just texted out these bulleted lists, like a weirdo, to everybody I knew of what to pray for and all the specifics, because I knew that God was in every detail of my mom's battle and the diagnosis and the treatment, and that he was going to take care of everything, and we had to get everybody on board. And so a verse that carried me through that, I like hers, but I was really desperate. And so this is still on my phone as the wallpaper, and it's John 14:27. And the peace I give you is a gift the world cannot give, so do not be troubled or afraid. So I just needed something simple to run over me and remind me that peace in all of this can only come from God, and he doesn't want us to be troubled or afraid, even in the worst of times.
So I really think that telling this girl here, Erin, that I had cancer was even more difficult than me hearing it for myself the first time. So through lots of tears and prayers, we got through it. She's definitely my person. To say she's supported me every step of the way is like an understatement. Sorry. She had the prayer warriors, and she alerted these people. People were praying that I never even really knew prayed. So that was another godsend. That was a good thing. We brought some people to the Lord, I'm pretty sure. And she sat beside me during chemo. She made sure I had everything I needed to feel comforted and loved. She encouraged me daily. And Maeve, her daughter, has also been like this light through this journey. I love her more than I could ever think possible. The little girl is just so precious. So now, today, God has blessed me with like this new life. This is like this most special time that he's given me. I feel like he's redefining my purpose. I'm trying to be patient with him and like, hurry, what are we doing? But I not only get to spend more time with my 5 grandchildren, but I get to spend time with children through ministry. And I'm also doing simple things that I never thought I could do, like gardening and cooking. So God keeps showing me ways to serve, and I keep this little token in my pocket. I don't know if you could see it. It says persevere, and on the back of it, it says, it's Jeremiah 29:10, and I love this verse. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, and plans to give you hope and a future. And so I just hold on to this every day.
So in conclusion, I guess I feel really thankful that I've had several anchor moments in my life where I really saw God, and it wasn't always a direct yes or no answer to prayer. I feel like I got a lot of weights, like when it took me a long time to get pregnant. I feel like he kind of said this instead when I left this career I built and worked so hard at to stay home with my boys. But standing next to my mom as she fought and beat cancer was sobering, scary, but it was also super clear. God drew me so close. He cared for me when no one else or nothing else could, rescued me from my fears and anxiety, wrapped me in love, and really just carried me along so I could carry her and everybody else that was on this battle together. So it wasn't so much a moment, I think, for either of us, but a year of white knuckle gripping to the anchor that was Jesus. And I remember the first thing I told my husband, in this whole process was, there's no life without my mom. That's just not a thing. And what I learned instead is there is really no life without God. And that's our story.
Thank you, Erin and Marybeth. That was so great. Thank you again for sharing your message of hope and actually encouragement that we all need, and I think we all can relate to right now in this stormy world. The truth of the matter is that we have this anchor, Jesus, that we can hold on to, and we need each other, just like you both. So great example how you encourage one another, and that encourages us, and we in turn can share this hope with those around us. We are so thankful that we have the certainty of Jesus holding us strong no matter what storm comes our way. So thanks again. Now at this time, we have the message, and it is a privilege tonight. We get to hear from a speaker. Her name is Rowlanda Cawthon, and she is, actually I just met her not too long ago through a friend of mine, and she has a powerful story to share with us tonight. She actually is the dean of the business school at Northwest University up in Kirkland, Washington, and she also is a professor in management. And she and Jessica worked together, and they've talked and crafted this message through the music and through her words tonight. It's going to be so inspiring. So we're thankful, Rowlanda, that you are here with us now, and thanks for sharing.
I'm delighted to be here and appreciate Katie for the opportunity to share meaningful moments of my life with you. I'm originally from Waco, Texas. My parents moved me and my 3 brothers to Washington State over 28 years ago to give us a better life. They instilled good values in us and paved the way for me to be the woman that I am today. I've never been in any trouble. I'm driven and hold myself to the highest of standards. Anyone observing my life from a distance might assume that I'm strong, confident, and have it all together. But when I reflect on all that I've been through, I acknowledge that it's not other people or things that I've struggled with over the years. It's my inner saboteur, that voice inside of me that engages in self-defeating talk, which I have often found myself in a contentious battle with more frequently than I would like. And I hate to admit it, but I'm especially familiar with the saying, we are often our own worst critic. I believe that it is healthy to critique necessary areas of my life, but I also understand that constant, unrelenting self-criticism is unhealthy spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Jessica's opening song, Breaking the Glass, resonates with me because it is about silencing or shattering the critical voice that lies within. I draw parallels between her song and the classic story of Snow White. In the story, as you know, Every morning, the queen asked the magic mirror the question, "Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest in the land?" The mirror always replied, "My queen, you are the fairest in the land." But one day, when the magic mirror replied, "My queen, you are the fairest here, so true, but Snow White is 1,000 times more lovely, fair, and beautiful than you," it sent the queen in a downward spiral. For the queen, the mirror was the mental bubble that she lived in. And to her own detriment, she became consumed with what the magic mirror said back to her. I think that is the case with a lot of us, including me. The magic mirror represents the inner self. And there have been times, in fact, more than I can count, when I've looked in the mirror and said things back to myself as if I were the magic mirror that were neither uplifting nor inspiring to my own spirit or well-being. I often wonder how the fairy tale would have ended if the queen had broken the glass, if she had simply shattered the voice of the magic mirror. Recently, I reached a point in my life where I had to create a new story that was grounded in truth and not in a fairy tale. For me, breaking the glass, metaphorically speaking, is about destroying distorted images that I have created about myself. And today, I want to share 3 culminating experiences from my life that led me to this moment. And I also want to identify the invisible thread that has held me together during the good and challenging times. My first transformative experience occurred when I was in high school. My father worked as a janitor at the University of Puget Sound in Tacoma, Washington. So I had the opportunity to receive 100% tuition remission. I remember sitting in my guidance counselor's office and telling her about this unbelievable educational experience. And to my surprise, her response to me was that I'd be better off applying to a 2-year college rather than a 4-year university. The challenge is that attending a 2-year college meant that I'd have to pay for my own education and would likely be in school a little longer than 4 years if I decided to pursue a bachelor's degree. I've never really understood why she attempted to discourage me from taking advantage of a free education. But what she did not know was that I had become anchored in something that was greater than her. You see, I was a junior in high school. I began to build a relationship with God through the Christian faith. I frequently studied the Bible with my pastor and genuinely wanted to learn God's word and apply it to my life. I had anchored myself in Jesus and began developing an identity that was grounded solely in him. So when I looked in the mirror, I saw the daughter of a king, King Jesus. I saw a young woman who internalized what her parents repeatedly said to her. You can do anything you put your mind to. And with this encouragement, I was committed to defying the advice of my guidance counselor. I believe that if I had internalized her story of me and spoke that into my own life, I would not have graduated from the University of Puget Sound with a bachelor's degree in communications, nor would I have gone on to earn both a master's degree and doctoral degree in organizational leadership. This was a meaningful moment in my life where I learned the power of speaking positively to me. After finishing my first 4 years of college, I worked at KSTW Channel 11 News as an assignment editor. I thought I wanted to be a news anchor, but given where I am today, one could say that God's plan was for me to be an anchor who shares the good news of his word and not the news of the world. After the news station closed, I worked for the Department of Social and Health Services, then went on to work at Eddie Bauer headquarters, drugstore.com, Oberto Sausage Company, and finally, the Department of Corrections. I worked in the corrections field for over 11 years. I had both wonderful and challenging experiences that stretched me. I was promoted multiple times, Exciting aspects of my job included working as a classification counselor at the women's prison in Gig Harbor, a community corrections officer in Pierce County, a business analyst and communications consultant at headquarters, and as a correctional unit supervisor at a women's prison in Belfair, Washington. Corrections is not for everyone. However, I was able to build a reputation in this field that was grounded in something that I valued. And to be honest, I never imagined that the business skills and experiences that I acquired in corrections, along with my education and other experiences, would enable me to teach business in the classroom. No matter what my job was, during my time in corrections, I received positive feedback and knew that my work and character stood for itself. Unfortunately, a turning point came when an individual in an executive leadership role expressed to my supervisor that I was only capable of doing administrative tasks. In other words, being a secretary. And he believed that I did not have the skills to do the technical aspects of my job related to being a communications consultant. It became apparent that the executive leader was giving my projects to other counterparts without my direct supervisor knowing. And when she found out, she had a conversation with him about it. And when she initiated a discussion about my skills and abilities, the individual admitted that he knew nothing about my education, skills, or work reputation. So instead of me forgetting about what the executive said, I privately internalized it. And by this time in my life, I had already gone through a divorce while finishing my master's degree and was in a place where I was trying to find myself again. And while I continued to do my work, I harbored that one experience in my heart and allowed it to outweigh all of the other meaningful experiences during my time in corrections that had really shaped me personally and professionally. This was my second transformative experience, but it wasn't a good one. In 2012, after my mentor encouraged me to get my doctorate, I decided to take education leave. I moved in with my parents in my mid-30s and became a full-time doctoral student. In 2013, I decided to faithfully resign from the Department of Corrections after my leave expired to start a career in higher education. I was the first to complete our inaugural doctoral program at the university I attended, with my degree being conferred in August 2014, just 2 years after I applied. I looked for a job in higher education for close to a year, and absolutely no doors opened. This is when my inner saboteur emerged again out of nowhere. I started to believe that leaving corrections and pursuing a doctoral degree was a mistake. I can't tell you how many times I had to reach out to my mentor and family for encouragement because self-doubt and negative self-talk had consumed me. But one day in 2015, I walked into church and one of the members said, "I've been looking for you." Then she asked me if I'd applied to Northwest University for a teaching job. And I told her, "You are about the second or third person who has asked me that within the last week." And on the spot, she gave me the contact information for a person she knew who had worked at the university. And then that person connected me with someone who was currently working there. Interestingly, that professor knew my mother and was thrilled to connect me with the dean of the College of Business, who brought me in for an interview. Literally, within 35 minutes of us meeting, the dean extended a conditional offer for me to serve as a visiting professor, providing that my interviews with the provost, president, and other faculty went well. I truly believe that God opened this door for me, and I am thankful I had the courage to walk through it despite my fears. After accepting the job, I moved to Kirkland, Washington to live on campus. It was a new experience, and I had to develop new relationships. And during this transition, I went through a period of depression and realized that I'd never really dealt with the experience that I had with that executive leader in corrections. I was afraid to bring my whole self into the classroom, and I believed that I didn't have the skills or the abilities to be a good professor. I was looking into that metaphorical mirror, telling myself, you are not capable and you are not confident or competent enough to do this job. It wasn't until a friend told me that I was doing God, myself, and my students a disservice by not bringing my whole self into the classroom that I realized that my charisma, the thing that I thought students and colleagues would not like, is the very thing they admired and encouraged me to infuse in our community. And I have thrived as a full-time professor for 5 years. But when I applied for the Dean of the College of Business position last year, self-doubt creeped in again and I nearly walked away from the opportunity. On one day, the provost emailed me about applying for the position. One of my students texted me late in the evening that same day, and he said, "You are on my heart tonight, Row. Step into whatever God is moving you towards. You're a blessing." And when I received that text, I knew I had to apply for the job, despite how I felt. And if that were not enough to increase my faith, on the day I was scheduled to be interviewed by the president of Northwest University, a colleague prayed over me and said, "Rowlanda, God has you at this university for such a time as this." I was offered the job as interim dean on June 1st, 2020, and within 5 days, we lost a family member tragically. So as you can imagine, for the past 10 months, I've navigated through unbearable grief, COVID, and trying to learn a new job. Despite how painful things have been, this was a transformative experience that compelled me to be brave and courageous. And oddly, it stirred up in me hope to move forward. And after several years of trying to find myself, I experienced the importance of breaking the glass or shattering negative thoughts about myself that crippled me for so long. I believe that my ability to push through the past several months is what resulted in me getting the deanship permanently in November 2020. What's also fascinating is that I'm the first person of color to be appointed in a role like this. So breaking the metaphorical glass here in my heart resulted in me breaking the glass ceiling. So, in honor of my nephew, who would have wanted my brother, me, and others in our family to be strong, I became a glass breaker. And that is how I'm getting through this season of my life. I'm still grieving and hurting, but I've learned to push through and live despite the pain. I've learned how to love me while navigating through sorrow. And that alone is powerful. I have learned the importance of life. I know without any doubt that the invisible thread that kept me together during the good and challenging times of my life was Jesus. He alone is the one who gave me the strength to break the glass, embrace who I am, and step into my purpose. And as I close, I would like to leave you with these scriptures. Proverbs 23:7. What a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Psalms 19:14. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. For those listening to this message who have an inner saboteur and is struggling with self-doubt, self-criticism, or negative self-talk, I encourage you to be filled with hope. What we think about ourselves shapes who we are. The Word of God tells us to renew our mind and not to be conformed to the things of this world. His word further instructs us to let our words and thoughts, especially those that we think and speak about ourselves, be acceptable to God, who has a purpose for us that is good, pleasing, and perfect. I encourage you to be anchored in Jesus, the only one who inspires and gives us the ability to break the glass. Thank you.
Thank you, Rowlanda. That message was amazing. We can so resonate with those words that you shared with us tonight. Breaking the glass, those messages to ourselves that are not true. We are so thankful for your reminder of what is true when we know Jesus and the words of truth he brings to our lives, that he loves us, we're beautiful in his eyes, and that he has the most amazing plans for each one of us and loves to shower his love on us in all the details of our lives. So thank you again for that reminder and that awesome message. At this time, it's time for our raffle reminder, and we just hope that you seen we have our glassy baby. It is the navy blue etched with our Anchor logo, and you can go on our website, theanchorgathering.com, and make sure you sign your name in there. You've got up until 9 o'clock tonight to get your name in there, and we will announce first thing tomorrow morning. You'll find that in your email, and it just so you see, it comes packaged like this, so nice. It can be a great gift. It comes with our little verse, the anchor verse, or to keep for yourself. It is a great, we are so thankful we get this Anchor logo glassy baby. So that, and then in conclusion, we just want to make sure we are all on board in helping to get the word out. And I wanted to just say again that this link to the YouTube, you can share this with anyone. And we're thinking, let's just challenge one another to think of 5 to 10 women and family, friends, whoever, to just share this link with and help get the word out there. The great news of who Jesus is as our anchor that holds strong in this stormy world. And we also would love your help in just getting the word out on our social media. If you could like us, share us on Instagram and Facebook. We are just excited about getting the word of who Jesus is and the anchor that he is for our lives. So we are thankful that you joined us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, stay anchored, and we'll see you soon.